Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex. Presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Everybody, welcome back. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Curie, Jeremiah Jensen, thanks for hanging out with us today, everybody. If you'll recall, yesterday during our program, we had a whole new thing that happened in our world. Everything that has to do with NHL hockey now, every first time is a new thing for us, right? Very first draft lottery for this Utah franchise. You heard it right here yesterday. We rolled it all out. We chatted about this whole thing yesterday, and it was so much fun, JJ. It was just a brand new thing. Everything is new hockey-wise for us, and so it's very
exciting,
fun.
Yeah.
Our program is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, nutritious boost. But let's get to the cut, the very top of the hour here with another guest. We're going to jump in right here with Stephen Ellis from the Daily Faceoff, and let's get into it right here. Let's start talking about it. It is the cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
For incredible selections on Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, visit Doug Smith Dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows like Doug and the Doug Smith Dealerships. Stephen Ellis of the Daily Faceoff joining us here on the program. Stephen, thanks for being with us.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Oh, we're excited. Yesterday we were chatting with Mr. Larkin of your same publication, and I think that we got the down low of what was kind of going to be going on. But now that we actually have the list of how it's going to happen in front of us, Utah picking 6th, that's kind of where it was. Every person was slotted exactly where the numbers said they were going to go yesterday.
Yeah, and for someone who, I put together my mock draft that I was waiting to publish, and I'm very glad I didn't have to change a single word because no teams moved. It wasn't very exciting for the fans, but for someone like me, that was awesome.
I'm glad it worked out your way, and I'm looking at your mock draft right now, and you do great work. We love what you guys do at Daily Face-Off, as obviously we're paying a lot more attention to that because of the situation. Let's dig into your mock draft a little bit, and obviously we're focused on Utah and what could be the first pick for this franchise. At number 6, you looks like you're looking at defensemen, and that's what we're hearing is one of their biggest needs.
Yeah, for Utah, obviously coming from the Coyotes organization, that was something where, I'm pretty sure most of their defensemen are free agents this year, so they're going to be having to kind of start fresh. They've got some good guys in the system, but they're kind of far away. So I had them picking Steve Buian out of the University of Denver, a left-handed defenseman, and he was a freshman in college, and if you don't follow the draft, you can get drafted from pretty much any league as long as you're under 20 years old. It's mostly for 17, 18-year-olds. And for Buian, he was playing college hockey as an 18-year-old. Not a lot of college guys in the draft this year, and he had 50 points as a defenseman. That's pretty much unheard of for someone his age. And this year, it's a really strong draft for blue liners, so there's a lot of different ways that Utah can go here. But with Buian, it's just a guy who won the World Junior Championship with the United States, won the national title with Denver, had, again, a 50-point season, which is one of the best freshman seasons by a defenseman ever, and he was one of the best defensemen in the entire country. So that would be a huge way to kind of start it.
Because of what you said with his age and his college experience and the amount of points he had last year, is he somebody you could see being a contributor early on, or does he still have some seasoning left to do?
I think there's still a good reason for him to go back, because you don't see a ton of guys go straight from college to the NHL, unlike in other sports. Here in this case, obviously such a great season, played on a great team with great coaching, but I think sticking with that coaching, David Carl, he was the coach of that World Junior team where he really relied on Buian as one of the young guys out there. Getting another year out of that would be good, because we don't expect this Utah team to be that good next year. It's still going to be kind of a couple of years of trying to put it together, but that's what's kind of exciting. That's what's fun as a fan, when you get to kind of see the team go from near the bottom and try to push up. I think, they're still going to want to get out there and get some veterans out there to kind of build the foundation, and there's no reason to rush a guy like him. So I don't think anyone they draft will go straight to the NHL, but if they were to take William, I think it's kind of like a one more year in college, and then he's ready to go at the end of next season.
So when you see the draft and people like us who are, trying to educate ourselves as we go here from the little detail side of things like this, we're going, look, how does the draft differ from in the NHL versus other sports? It's been kind of interesting to kind of learn all that on the fly here. But there are people here in Utah who are so excited about getting this team from Arizona. And we've heard a million times from Bill Armstrong about how this is the fourth year of a rebuild, and now they're anticipating to turn a corner here. So how do they do it when you have these young guys who are coming up, and who are some of the people who are coming up in the system who could be making an impact for this Utah team as they try to make that next step, which is to make the playoffs?
Well, when they were the Coyotes, they were a team that basically was cash strapped, and the storyline was they were struggling to pay any of their players, and someone wanting another $100,000 could be the difference between signing that player and not. So I think, hopefully that's not the case in this situation, because there are a lot of good young guys. Logan Cooley was their first pick back in 2022. He's going to be a star of this team, the potential to be the best player that this franchise has ever had, like dating back to the Coyotes and the Winnipeg Jets before that. Obviously kind of a fresh start here, but just the way that Cooley is able to dominate the game. He looked like one of the best rookies last year, at someone who kind of came without a good support system, didn't have a ton of high-scoring players to play with, but he's good. Another young guy that's really worked out for them is Matias Maccelli, who was a late-round draft pick out of Finland a couple years ago. Now he's a consistent 50-point guy. Clayton Keller, he's already kind of a popular guy in line. He was been the heartbeat of the Coyotes franchise in the past, and it'll be cool to see him kind of take a step forward here. If you like physicality and you like to see guys hit each other and get into fights, the Coyotes are perfect for that in terms of the long-term future, because they actually have, of their prospects, a lot of 6'5", 6'7", 6'6" guys that just like to hit guys. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
For those, we're getting to know Bill Armstrong, and he's been really impressive in this short time that we've been able to interact with him here in Utah. For fans here in Utah, can you give us a sense of what how Bill Armstrong ranks, I guess, as a GM in the league? How respected is he, and how would you judge the way he's handled personnel with a lot of limitations since he took over the Coyotes in 2020?
Yeah, he's a respected guy, partly because he's had to do as much as possible with very little. Like, you look at it for a couple of years, it was just struggling to find a good goalie, and it wasn't because, for a long time, it looked like the Coyotes were going to be relocated, and it was just, when was that going to happen? And I think that scared some players to wanting to commit with the franchise. I think now there is a long-term future here planned. There's with the arena and everything, there's a lot of excitement going here. I think this will be an opportunity for Bill Armstrong to kind of show what he's capable of here. And again, we're hoping that it's a situation where he does have the ability to spend a lot of money and get the right people, because it's a good young base, and they've shown in the past that they can make some noise if they just put everything together. So I don't think we've been able to see kind of what Bill Armstrong as an NHL GM is capable of, because it was never a fair situation. Now, let's hope that changes.
Well, let's talk a little bit also about what other pieces need to be. We've talked about the defense side of things, like, hey, adding some defensemen, that's something that this team needs because of the fact that there are a lot of guys who are restricted free agents or just not signed overall. And so, but what are the next steps then, not just from the defenseman side of things, but also what are other pieces that this team needs to add to be relevant?
Frankly, a lot. I think that's kind of the situation here. This is a team that a lot of times had more money tied up on guys that were injured and not playing than the lineup they were putting out on the ice. I think the big question here is who's going to be their long-term goalie. Connor Ingram was a really good story this year, where he was a waiver claim a couple years ago. Basically, Nashville just didn't have a spot for him, didn't want him anymore, and then suddenly he was one of the best goalies in the league this year. Is he a long-term guy? I don't know. Is Karel Velzneka, the guy who had been the starter for the last couple of years, is he the guy? I'm not sure about that. Obviously, with defensemen, they had a total of 0 signed next year, so they're going to have to figure that one out there. I think in forwards, just kind of finding some more secondary scoring. Clayton Keller is great. Logan Cooley's a big name. Barrett Hayton, Zach McBain. But some of these guys kind of got good opportunities with the Coyotes last year because it was a weaker team, and those guys may have not been putting up the same numbers in other teams. So I think being able to attract some high-quality offense this year, which is something they can do, it is a decent market for forwards, and just proving to the players and saying, like, hey, like, this is something that this is not going to be a cash-strapped team. This is a team that's got really high hopes for the future, a very good pipeline coming up. Come commit to us. And if they can do that, I think this is a team that won't be too far away from being competitive.
You've mentioned Logan Cooley a number of times during this interview, and for good reason. We all know how much excitement there is about his potential. And as an expert in draft prospects and young talent, what is Logan Cooley's ceiling in the NHL? How good can he be? How good is he right now at age 20?
Well, it was a very impressive year. He put up 44 points this year in 82 games, which as a rookie, that's considered a pretty good season. Like Connor Bedard, he's the top young guy in the NHL. He had about 60 points this year. He's kind of on his own planet. He's one of the best young rookies we've ever seen. But when you're looking at Logan Cooley, someone who not only is he good with the puck, but he's very defensively responsible. He plays that two-way game. And, Sidney Crosby, one of the best players in the NHL, you see a lot of the similarities in how Logan Cooley plays from a stylistic standpoint, which is that two-way commitment. He's going to be a future captain. He's got that leadership capabilities. He's very skilled with the puck. We've seen him score some highlight reel goals. So he's kind of about as complete of a player as you would look for out of a 20-year-old, where, in the NHL, you don't get a lot of 20-year-olds being forced to kind of lead a team, but the stuff we saw him in the regular season, I don't think we're going to see him get 80 points a year, 90 points, not going to be in the higher end scoring, but he's going to do so many other things that makes him so valuable that it's going to be something where he's going to be a star for a long time.
How big of a deal is it to see a guy like Macklin Celebrini, speaking of guys who can go and just immediately start to make an impact on a team? We're hearing a lot about how generational he is and that type of talent. So how does he compare even to last year's pick, Connor Bedard, going to Chicago? And are the Sharks going to suddenly be really, really good? Or how does it work when you have a top talent like that going to a team?
Well, it's definitely a lot different than in other sports where like one guy could change everything for you. We saw that with Chicago this year, where even with the best, young rookie in the NHL, they still came second last in the league. It's truly a team sport because your players only on the ice your best players on the ice for a third of the game. So there's a long time where you're trying to kind of make up for that. The Sharks are a team that's pretty far away still. I think they're still missing a good goalie. They're still missing a high-end defense prospect. But Celebrini out there, again, we're talking about freshman seasons at college. He fast-tracked his schooling so he could play a year early than anybody else, and that worked out. He was the Hobey Baker winner as the top player in college hockey. That's never happened from a freshman. That's never happened from it has happened as a freshman, but never happened from a 17-year-old. So for him to go first overall, again, we're talking about the complete package there, where he's such a good two-way player. He hits guys. He's got the speed. He's got the skill. He's got the offense. It's also great that he has ties to the San Jose area. His dad works for the Golden State Warriors as a strength and conditioning coach. And then you're looking here, and this guy's very strong, very conditioned out there. He's going to put up some good numbers. He grew up in San Jose for a little bit. I think that's a really cool story.
How great have the Stanley Cup playoffs been? We had 2 Game 7s in the first round, and then we had the drama of last night. Just as a hockey fan, how much have you been enjoying this postseason?
It's funny. I missed most of the first round. I was in Finland watching the Under-18 World Championship with all the top draft prospects. I just got
don't
back.
Don't let work get in the way.
Oh yeah, no. When I stayed up when I could, and I'm based outside of Toronto, so we see the Leafs lose every year. We're kind of used to that at this point. But watching that Rangers game last night was a ton of fun, and this is where it gets exciting. And not only this, the World Hockey Championship begins this week. Canada, USA are 2 of the top teams, and it's just this is the best time to love hockey.
Looking over the next couple of years, and maybe even this year, who are the odds-on favorites to win the Stanley Cup this year? Now that obviously the winner from last year is out, with Vegas being eliminated by Dallas, like, who is going to have the possibility of making a little bit of a run here, winning it this year, and then maybe being good for a while?
Well, it's funny because I think the 4 teams that really have the best odds, in my opinion, are all actually playing each other right now. Dallas versus Colorado, an unbelievable game 1 yesterday. Dallas was my pick to win the Stanley Cup. They're extremely deep. They've got so much talent at every position, but you're going up against Colorado, who won the Cup 2 years ago, and that entire core is still there. That those pieces that made that happen are still there. Then you're looking on the East, the New York Rangers, top team in the league in the NHL this year. They just had a really good game last night. They're 2-0 against Carolina, but the Hurricanes are a deep team too. So those are the teams I'm looking at. The Oilers are a lot of fun with Connor McDavid, and that team's going to be fun for a while. And you can't ignore the Florida Panthers, who almost won it all last year as the last team to make the playoffs. So it's a good group right now. Like, that's the thing. Sometimes you kind of get a team that just goes far that no one expects. This time it's truly the best of the best that are still playing for the Stanley Cup.
You're based in Toronto, and you're on the other side of the border, and I know how important hockey is to fans in Ontario and Toronto specifically. So I wanted to get your thoughts. I know you're well connected. What has been the reaction around the league from people you've talked to about this move from Arizona to Utah for this franchise, and what this can do to the league? What's the overall reaction been that you've been able to gauge?
You know, it's been really positive. I think, everyone for a long time just kind of thought, okay, when are the Coyotes moving? And it almost moved outside of Toronto and Hamilton about a decade ago. And it's great though, because we're going to a market that, that's got the Utah. Got a Utah ECHL team. Like, there is some roots of hockey in Utah, but otherwise it's a new market for the NHL where they can kind of go in here. And everything I've seen from based off of, the welcoming of the team and all the reaction when the team was announced, and it's been so awesome to see. The fans already look awesome. I hope Arizona does get another chance because they do have a good fan base. It was just kind of a dysfunctional situation here, but you look at the results of people thinking about what the next team name is. I'm excited when that gets announced, and seeing that. And then, of course, when the players came for the first time, you look at that and say, we haven't seen that before. That is incredible support. So it's really exciting.
We apologize to the fans in Hamilton and Quebec City that we got the team that they wanted. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, listen, it made our life. Look, we're already the home of the basketball team here, the NBA team over the air, of course, with the Jazz. And so adding another team across the street from us has been a massive thing for us. So I'm not that sorry because it's going to change our entire world on covering hockey here.
Like, you know what? Hockey's the best sport on the planet, in my opinion. So, like, you can't go wrong with that. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see kind of how this team grows.
Stephen Ellis, Daily Faceoff. You can read his byline there and get the mock draft right there. Just kind of see who some of these guys who are available in the draft and who Utah could be picking in that first round. And it's going to be an interesting draft because they have so many guys who they could be picking up. And they have so many draft picks this year, too. So, Stephen Ellis, Daily Faceoff. We appreciate it, Stephen.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Let's take a break. All right, we'll come back. More to go. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Careful what you wish for. As the Cavaliers get Boston, and like most of the teams that have walked into TD Garden, they get blown off the floor. The clock hits triple zeros, and it is over. The Celtics strike first in the Eastern Conference semifinals. The final score, Boston 120, Cleveland 95.
All right. Welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the program. I'm like becoming such a hockey guy now. I'm such a hockey expert.
You are. You're all about the puck.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's how you know that hockey has really hit mainstream. I did a segment today on Studio 5, which if you're not familiar on KSL 5 television, yeah, they're not playing this as the intro.
They should.
They would go, this isn't,
I'd watch.
Now,
you want me to watch Studio 5?
Listen, I've known Brooke Walker for 20 years, and we've done a lot of Studio 5 segments over the years. when we're talking hockey on Studio 5, it is at a new level of, like, that's when you know that the mainstream, that we have hit mainstream here, that hockey has become.
That is a big deal.
It was like, look.
Up next on Studio 5 Sports, NHL Talk
Studio
with
5
Alex
Sports.
Keary.
That's what they called it. Studio 5 Sports. No. Yeah, get that drop. No, and like we just went through this whole thing. It was like, so why is this such a big deal, right? And the answer is there are so many answers, right? And yeah, we've become hockey fans. So being able to chat hockey and be able to go through what types of players that this hockey team is going to be getting. By the way, have we gotten a bracket yet? Still no bracket. So yesterday they were talking about the possibility of a bracket for the names today, but they said maybe even the 9th, which is, JJ, let me check my calendar.
Soon.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
So they said either the 8th or the 9th, we're going to be able to see those brackets for the voting on teams. So
Who's number one on your bracket?
Who's my top seed?
Like, how are they going to break this down? Just a poll or bracket?
If you do, that's a good question, because you do kind of, JJ, if you see on a bracket, we're used to looking at who's the number one overall seed. Can you have that, or you just don't put numbers next to them? You just have their bracket there. But I have a hard time. I'll see top left, and I'll go, oh, there's your top overall seed.
What you could do is, and I'm sure they have this data, because remember, when they were rumored to be working on a sale of the club, Ryan Smith posted a Qualtrics link where you could go and you could submit your favorite team name. So the name that came up the most is probably your 1 seed. The name that came up the least is probably your 8 or 16 seed. I don't know how many names they're going to throw out there.
Going to do either.
So that's how you rank the seeds, is based on the amount of people that send in that same name. And we all know that Utah Yetis is going to be
pretty high up there,
because all the kids jimmered the
kids.
Or was Hockey McHockey Face?
Hockey McHockey Face? That you got to be very careful saying that into a microphone. But yeah, I was saying that. Bodie McBoatface, Hockey McHockey Face. I got very nervous about that suddenly. Okay? If there are new names on this bracket, I'm open to it. I'll just tell you. I don't have a clear winner. Something along the lines of Blizzard, Ice. I know all that's being brought up, but come on. There you go. The NBA playoffs. Oh, my goodness. Are we giving away tickets? Is it a Win Ticket Wednesday today? This is separate from that.
2 sets of tickets.
All right. So we have this, and then I've been telling people we're giving away those Neil Young tickets. So we're giving those away later, though, right? Okay.
Correct.
Right now, though, JJ, ineligible to win. If you're calling number 12, you get a pair of tickets to see Gabriel Iglesias. Mr. Fluffy, right? Fluffy, coming to the Maverick Center on October 18th. So call now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-9663.
Very funny guy.
575-ZONE. That's right. Gabriel Iglesias coming to the Maverick Center. Caller number 12 wins a pair of those tickets right now. 801-575-ZONE. Okay. Knicks and Pacers tonight for Game 2 is, in my mind, the Knicks got away with one, obviously, in Game 1, or at least escaped without, having to be sent to overtime or anything. I love the Pacers fight, but I think that a lot of people, me included, kind of want to see the Knicks and the Celtics in the next round. Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
And I want to see the Knicks do it. I have a hard time thinking that they are not going to. Is Jalen Brunson going to finally fall off? What's going to happen in Game 2 tonight?
Oh, he's only going to score 35 tonight as opposed to 40?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So you have the Celtics, you have Knicks Pacers, Celtics Cavs. I love how no one even gives the Cavaliers any type of anything, even though they're the 4 seed, but no one cares. So out of those games right there, what are your winners then tonight?
Celtics go. Let's see, who plays tonight again? The games tonight is just one. We only have the Pacers.
It's just the Pacers
tonight.
Knicks. Yes.
I think the Pacers find a way to get a win tonight. I think that's a 7-game series.
So it's going to be.
The Pacers. We got to talk about the Pacers.
They'll steal one out of New York.
That's a 47-win team this year. They even had a winning road record. They are a really good team. They have depth that a lot of other teams don't have, including the Knicks. Tyrese Halliburton's an all-star. I keep looking through their roster. Aaron Nesmith's really blown up. Andrew Nembhard is really good. This is a good roster. Miles Turner is a veteran that does a great job. And they got Obi Toppin coming off the bench. Pascal Siakam's on this team. Siakam's been an all-star, so it's a really good Pacers team. They have a lot of depth, and they showed that in Game 1. That was a great basketball game. I think this is a 7-game series, and I think the Pacers could steal it tonight.
Boston wins last night in that Game 1 of that series with Cleveland. They win by 25. The Oklahoma City Thunder also win by more than 20 over the Dallas Mavericks. I told you 2 days ago, I'm not going to say, well, I told you so, but what I'm going to say is I go, because you were like, I think the Mavericks are gonna get the Thunder. And I was like, yeah, but the Mavericks lost to the Thunder by 50 like a month ago. They lost by 30 the time before that they had played. I don't know what it is, but it was like almost like Dallas just wasn't playing well those times that they were taking on Oklahoma City. What exactly are we not taking into account with this Thunder team? Because they are the number 1 overall seed. Like, they have the best record. They had the best record in the West, and that is a really, really, really good team. And yet we just like to go, well, they're young, so it's not their time to win yet.
I think you're onto something, because this may actually be a matchup that is beneficial to the Thunder. And it's just, I think the problem, Alex, is we're having a hard time wrapping our brains around the fact that this Thunder team is this good, this fast, and this young. That's a really young team. Your star player is 25, 26 years old. He's never won a playoff series before. I mean, well, he was with the Clippers, I guess, so I'd have to go back and look and see what part he played in that in the brief time he was there. Probably not much, if any. This is a team that has never been here before, and they don't seem to care. And you're watching them play joyful basketball, and it's almost like a college team with the camaraderie and the chemistry that they have and the fun they're having. The whole team joining in the post-game interviews, and they're barking and they're having a good time. That crowd, we know that, I mean, Oklahoma City and Salt Lake City are very similar in the fact that they're one of the few places you can go in the NBA where it has a college-type atmosphere, a college-type feel with the intensity of the crowd. And it's going to be nearly impossible for a team to go in there and win. And the Mavericks found that out last night. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving have to bring a lot more to be able to pull that off. But we're simply, and I'll say I simply was just not believing that the Thunder were ready yet.
That's the narrative.
I think
you just
I'm
can't
wrong.
be good fast.
It's like,
we can't allow you to be good fast.
No, you're not supposed to win.
Right.
You're not supposed to go to the Western Conference Finals this year. You guys are too young. That's not how this works. You can't skip steps. But they're 3 wins away.
Yep.
And I have a hard time now after watching Game 1 thinking that the Mavericks are going to be able to find opportunities to expose the Thunder in this matchup, because it was the complete opposite in Game 1.
I don't know. You know, it's one of those things too where I've been watching all of these matchups in the West in particular, and like what's funny now is, and I have a hard time just writing off Denver because they're the world champs, but after 2 games, you're kind of willing to just write them off. You go, well, no. I can't remember who was, I think it was Kurt Elin on with Hans and Scotty today, and he was like, yeah, I just don't think that they have what it takes. I'm like, those are the world champs. And by the way, 3 days ago, we were all like, nah, there's just no way that the Timberwolves, this just isn't their year. These are the defending champs. They're playing the best basketball. Jamal Murray is still not 100%, right? He's still hurt. He's not playing great, as evidenced by, hey, what did I call yesterday, by the way? The $100,000 fine.
You nailed it.
I was like, that's going to be a 6-figure deal.
But 6-figure fine. That's pretty hefty.
He might need to be sitting on the bench just to get himself right, because right now, what's crazy about this is the best player in the league, Nikola Jokic. Well, the best player, you know, and multiple-time MVP winner, he isn't enough to carry this team. He's not enough. Jamal Murray has to be really, really good. And I think we were fooled in that first round because the Lakers are really bad. And the Thunder and the Timberwolves are not nearly as bad as the Lakers, and certainly play a way better defense than the Lakers do. So I don't know. I hope, for the sake of basketball fans, I hope that the Nuggets, and I would think that the Nuggets in Game 3 come back and win this thing tomorrow and end up getting – I bet they at least right the ship a little bit.
Boy, that's going to be tough. That's a tall task.
Going to Minnesota?
I don't think Minnesota's
going to Target Center.
That's not Oklahoma City. That's not an intimidating place. I just feel like this Timberwolves team is playing so good right now, and this is a really, really bad matchup for the Nuggets, which is pretty evident in games 1 and 2. But this is the defending champs. Maybe they find a way. I would love to see this series flip because I want to see a great series, but the Timberwolves were so dominant in the first games on the road, it's hard to imagine that won't continue when it shifts to Target Center in Minneapolis.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner. When we return, hey, Mitch Harper has dropped his next portion. He's doing, of course, the top 100 BYU football players of all time. We've got numbers 50 through 76 that we're going to roll out, and we'll share that with you as well. I guess it's 51 through 75. That's kind of what, whatever you want to call it. The next chunk of the players. We'll roll some of those out. Big names, even at this portion of the list. So stay with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on the Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Excuse me. Excuse you.
I'm glad we don't have a mic on during the breaks.
Sometimes. Actually, it would make, you know what? I would love it. Oh, listen.
Oh,
it's subscription.
Like and subscribe.
If you want to hear JJ cuss.
Join our members-only broadcast.
Members-only broadcast. And we'll send you a members-only jacket.
$10.99 a month.
Remember the members-only jackets?
Oh, yeah.
They're coming back around. My kid is at the freaking thrift shops now, like all the time. You drop me off at Savers? No, I'm not going to drop you off at Savers. I spent a lifetime of trying to not buy things at Savers, all right? Now here you are trying to make me drop you off at Savers. Now I will say this, $6 pants. My kid brought home a size 48 pant the other day. Now he is...
What is he going to do with it?
I don't know if it was a joke for him and his friends to get in both sides of it.
The sail on a sailboat? What's he doing with this?
How dare you? I used to wear a 48 before I got on Salt Lake City Fat Loss.
That's right.
No, but I told him, I go, buddy, that's a solid 10 inches more than my waist. Can we talk about this? And then he's like, the funniest thing is looking at his belt and how he cinched it. I'm like, what are you doing? Because the whole thing is to wear. My favorite was the other day, he had this conversation with my wife and I. He goes, so have you guys ever heard of Jeanco? And I'm all, stop it right now.
Jeanco.
Shut your mouth. I'm not buying you Jeanco jeans. You get out of here. They're cool. Look how big the pant legs are. I'm like, get out of here. That's what they're doing now. That's what the kids are doing. I don't know. We had some questionable choices, JJ, we made as kids.
Oh, no doubt. Remember Hammer Pants?
Z Cavaricis? Yeah, man.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely.
Fubo?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I worked at Champ Sports in the mall. That was a big segment of what we sold. Absolutely. Fubo. And it was all like bright orange and bright green, too.
It's terrible.
So bad in the 90s, mid-90s. All right, so BYU is going to be kicking off its 100th season, if you can believe it, of football this next fall. And throughout May, Mitch Harper is releasing 25 players every week on the countdown to number one BYU player of all time. So let's roll out some of the ones on wait, have we gotten the newest version of this? Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, we are. All right, let me go through it quickly. You ready for this, JJ? So I'll start at 75. Tom Holmoe. Never heard of him. Number 74. No reaction at all. Tom Holmoe, 75. Come on. He's good. He was good. Chris Farasopoulos, number 74.
How in the world is Tom Holmoe behind?
Oh, here it comes. Well, now hold on. What are you doing here?
Chris Farasopoulos?
Yeah, there you go. Chris Farasopoulos.
Tom Holmoe.
DB.
Is better than Chris Farasopoulos.
The thing about
anybody
pre Anybody pre-Lavelle Edwards, I have a hard time.
Look,
That's fine. It's fine. Doesn't mean you couldn't be good.
If we're doing a rating based on nickname, the Galloping Greek is awesome if that's what we're doing here, but we're not.
Yeah, it's also offensive.
We're ranking the top 100 football players in BYU history. Tom Homo is ahead of Chris Farasopoulos.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't even get through one.
I know. You couldn't contain yourself. Jeff Blank, 73, running back. Jim Herman, number 72. Brandon Doman, number 71. Seems low.
It does a little bit.
Randy Brock played D end. He's one of those guys that had the flat top back in the day, right? Mekele Aramia is number 70 or number 69. Number 68, Omar Morgan. 67 is Dax Milne of the recent 2018 to 2020 time frame. Now, that's a guy who relied heavily on Zach Wilson, right? And on a COVID year, I would think.
I think that, yeah. I don't want to take anything away from Dax, but.
Pete Van Valkenburg played running back between 1969 and 1972. Shea Muirbrook.
Too low.
For Shea Muirbrook?
Should be top 50.
Absolutely. 65 on the list.
Too low.
93 to 96. Clay Brown might be considered also low on the list. Wrong?
You could make a case that he's too low. Yes.
Absolutely.
Now,
it might be because you might say, well, he had high profile highlights that we've always seen 1 million times.
That's fair.
He's also an All-American in 1980.
He was really good, and he played with Jim McMahon, and a lot of those Jim McMahon passes, he was on the other end of it.
Yes.
But you're right. If you take away the Holiday Bowl play, what were the other Clay Brown moments you remember? You may not have one.
Right.
Unless you're an old-time Cougar fan.
Brian Gray played corner out of Hawthorne, California. Again, ahead of Tom Homo is Brian Gray.
Brian Gray was pretty darn good.
He was good. But he was also one of those guys who was only there 1 or 2 years, right?
Correct.
Leke Hemuli. Shout out to your former producer, Hema.
Hema Hemuli, yeah, it's his dad. He's a legend.
Legend. Let me see here. Ronnie Jenkins, 61.
Man, Ronnie could have been top 20. Could have been.
Curtis Brown, 60. Now, this is an interesting...
That's a tough one for me.
There's an interesting run here because the next three names I'm going to name off here are... or not the next three, but the... or the last three that I just read off. Between Leke Hemuli, Ronnie Jenkins, and Curtis Brown, that's 62, 61, and 60.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I'm just saying, those guys might be low.
Curtis Brown was once the all-time leading rusher at BYU.
Eric Drage, again, another guy who had a quarterback that threw a lot of passes to him who ended up winning the Heisman Trophy.
But career 3,065 career yards, I have no problem with him at 59. You could even make a case that he's higher on the list.
Yeah. Wayne Baker, 58. Tim McTire, 57. Chad Lewis, 56. Aaron Francisco, he was pretty darn good.
Yeah, he was.
55. Phil Odell at 54. Ryan Denny at 53. Derwin Gray at 52. And then Sean Knight rounding it out at 51. So there you go.